Hey, movie fans, welcome to Popcorn Talk Network's Anatomy of a Movie. I'm your host, Demetri Panos. And today, we're going to go exploring with Dora to find the lost city of gold. Stay tuned.
Welcome to Popcorn Talk, featuring movie discussion, news, and interviews. Popcorn Talk, we talk movies. And now, here's Popcorn Talk's Anatomy of a Movie.
Hey, movie fans, again, Demetri Panos here for Popcorn Talk Network's Anatomy of a Movie. Yes, we're back. We're back. This is, in fact, our third episode. Yes, we're back. We're back. And in no small part due to you, the fans of the show, all two of you. Actually, I kid. It's like 200,000 of you who just beg to have us back on. We are. And today, we're going to be talking Dora and the Lost City of Gold. And I'm very excited because we have a special guest panelist who I hope becomes a recurring stable panelist, but somebody who is a colleague of the Los Angeles Online Film Critics Society. And there we go. The sound of fun. and someone I'm proud to be able to say is a friend, Kit Bowen, everybody.
Hi. Thanks for having me.
Oh my God, I'm so excited.
Yeah.
I'm very excited that you're here.
This is a fun one because we can dive deep here.
It's good, and we actually saw this movie together.
We did.
And why are we doing Dora the Explorer? Why? Well, because it's a good movie.
It is.
You know? So we did see this movie together along with the founder of the LAOFCS. We all sat together, and I think we were pleasantly surprised.
Yep.
To this movie. So we start off with opinion. What did you think? What is your overall thoughts on this movie?
Yeah, I mean, it's always tough when you go see a movie that's definitely made for kids, animated or whatnot. And, as a parent or as an adult, you know that the kids are loving it, even if you're like rolling your eyes or you're like, oh, that was really silly or whatever the case may be. But this really just had me. I mean, it is silly and it's definitely made for kids. Mm-hmm. But I was totally involved in the whole thing. Like we were talking, it kind of reminded me of old Disney live action movies that I used to love as a kid, especially like Swiss Family Robinson or, those adventure movies. And of course, this is coming up, this is a show that's been on the air for whatever we said, 14, 15 years.
Yeah, even more than that. Yeah, we'll talk
20
about
years.
that.
But it pays homage to the show completely.
Wonderfully, too.
Yeah, and very funny, very kind of clever ways. You know, at one point, she looks at, when she's little, she looks at the camera and she says, "Can you say delicioso?" And
Michael
parents are all like, yeah, the parents are going, who's she talking to?
Who's she talking to? That was a great scene.
Yeah. Yeah, so I was completely involved in this, and I loved how it sort of shifts tones because it's a teenaged Dora. She grows up, played by Isabella Moner, and she ends up having to leave the jungle, leave her parents, and go to the big city. To
the concrete jungle.
Yes. To learn the indigenous people there, and then navigate high school, which was fun. And she reconnects with her cousin Diego, and then meeting those people, meeting those friends, and then having to take them back into the jungle, back to her world, and then they don't know anything about it, and so seeing how she has her new friends kind of go on this journey with her to find her parents in the jungle. And the Lost City of Gold, of course. But yes, the spectacle of it was wonderful. We were talking about Eugenio Derbez, who's a huge Mexican star.
Huge.
He had me double over laughing in this one.
Yeah.
And he did Overboard, which I thought was really, a fun remake of that movie. But he really kind of shines in this, and I thought he was hilarious. And Michael Pena, we said, was also very great. And
what a renaissance that guy's had. And he's been doing this forever.
Yeah, he has. And Eva Longoria plays the mom. Anyway, yeah, I was just in it, and I felt my 8-year-old self just going, oh, God, I'd be playing this movie for weeks afterwards.
Absolutely. Yeah, I couldn't. Yeah, I'm going to echo a lot of what you said. I mean, I'm so glad I got to go with friends to see this. Because I would have felt really weird going to a preview show on a Thursday night by myself. Now, I'm a huge fan of Isabella Moner. I mean, I have, and we'll talk a little bit more about her later on in her casting, but yeah, I've been a fan of hers for some time, and I think she truly shines. For me, this movie, again, I like the trailers, but to me, the grab was Isabella Moner and Scott Moner. Okay. Scott Menzel. I know ad nauseum he's like, oh my God, this movie can't. He goes, oh, you're like the only one. I said, it's because of her. Like, it can't be miserable. She's been pretty decent so far. So I just found this to be an energetic delight. And it had this amazing positive outlook. Mm-hmm. We'll talk about that. It had an extreme cultural awareness. Yes. It was smart. And the very smart and bright Dora, I think it's what's needed in today's live action family cinema. And just Isabella, to me, she just lit up the screen, giving Dora this this Pollyannish vibrancy to the movie, and that's fun and it's inspiring and it's a welcome reprieve for a lot of franchise fatigue. And at the end of it all, you might even sing. You know?
Yeah.
I just found that it really is a movie that I think families can go see.
Right.
And even as an adult, I wasn't bored. No. I had a lot of fun.
Yeah, I wasn't bored at all. And you're right. This is the kind of movie that, well, especially right now.
Right.
in the current situation that we're in.
Sure.
This movie just it just exudes positivity. It exudes confidence. It exudes
girl
power. And culturally as well, mm-hmm. it is, it's predominantly Hispanic cast, which is amazing. And I think it's an important movie. And I think, for families right now, that this would be the movie to go see.
Oh, absolutely.
And I think everyone should go take their kids to see this movie because
absolutely.
It's fun too. I mean, it's not just hitting you over the head with message after message at all.
Yeah.
She's on this quest, and I love that stuff. Very Indiana Jones.
Let's a little bit of the plot. It does borrow liberally from Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
Yeah.
Having to find family
and Raiders
members.
of the Lost Ark.
Look, finding family members who are lost, going to this lost city of gold, even down to what is the right tool to, Last Crusade, the end of the movie, Indiana Jones had to do these tests. Mm-hmm. The Dora has to do these tests. You brought up something that I found to be very interesting. In the way that it had the jokes, right? The paying homage. Now, this movie just could have done that throughout the whole movie. It could have just been that, mm-hmm. right? It just wouldn't have been a very good movie had it been that.
Yeah.
So, the writers, directors who did Muppet Movie,
right.
So they're used to bringing something from the small screen to the big screen and get the humor right and pay homage just right, but make a smart story. And I think this is what we have here. And no, I'm not giving this more credit than it deserves. It's a really good, involved family story that I think is timely today. And what's fascinating for me doing a little bit of my homework is Dora the Explorer is close to 20 years old.
Yeah.
And, it debuted in 2000. And it ran for 14 years.
Yeah, it's still on, I think.
14 years. Yeah. And what's incredible to me, so I don't have children. In 2000, I was beyond Dora the Explorer. But
were
the
you?
show on Nickelodeon, yeah, just a little. But what I'm getting at is, you couldn't escape Dora the Explorer. I knew who Dora the Explorer was. I knew who Diego was.
Yeah.
They were all over the place. And the monkey, and that to me, for a person who wasn't watching Dora the Explorer, just to even know from a cultural standpoint, from a cultural pop icon standpoint, yeah, she really 14 years for Nickelodeon. That was huge for them. Helped put them on the map even more so.
Well, they had like Blue's Clues, and
Right.
they had some of those other ones that my son watched. But my daughter, she was about the age that this came out. I mean,
Right.
this would have been her demographic. I don't remember her watching it all that much, but certainly it was part of her vernacular. Is what
Yeah.
she was watching
So catch this though about Dora the Explorer. In case you aren't familiar, so 2000, 14 years, right? A series, a total, I should say, of 15 Daytime Emmy Award nominations. Dora the Explorer was honored by the Imagine Foundation and the Television Critics Association, and it earned the 2003 Peabody Award and the prestigious annual honor recognizing distinguished achievements in meritorious public service in media. That's crazy to me. 14 season international adaptations and almost 14 years in U.S. with international adaptations in almost 36 languages. And it was as popular in video games, books, sequel series. That to me is incredible. And it kind of made me ask too, like, what took it so long?
To make a movie, you mean?
To make a movie.
Well,
Whether it be animated or live action. I mean, because don't forget, Nickelodeon also had Rugrats. Paramount squeezed out a couple of Rugrats movies. We had SpongeBob SquarePants movies.
Yeah, but there's something different about Dora, though, because Dora is really set up to be an educational series.
Right.
So it's almost like it's almost like a computer game, because they
Right.
have like a mouse and everything, and she'll stop and she'll ask a question, or she'll need
Right.
help to do something, and then she stops and she looks at the camera, and then hopefully the kids are answering her back, and then she says, "That was a great answer," or "That was a great try. The answer is blah blah blah."
Right.
So that would be hard to do it as a movie, I think. I think they needed to figure out where they were going to do it, and I think a live action movie where she's slightly older is.
I want to talk about that.
Is works.
Yes, I agreed. Let's talk, the film is directed by James Bowen, who did Muppets Most Wanted, and he's also known for Flight of the Conchords. He's an 11-time Emmy nominee himself. And the story by Tom Wheeler, who did Puss in Boots, and the Lego Ninjago movie, and Nicholas Stoller, who did The Muppets and Muppets Most Wanted, and a screenplay by Nicholas Stoller and Matthew Robinson.
Right.
And so, again, you're putting people who have experience of like bringing, I really like that first Muppet movie.
Yeah.
A lot. It really works.
But Muppets can be a movie because they are individual
And they've had-
characters.
right.
But you don't see a Sesame Street movie.
It's coming.
because-
Our big. Well, you did. There was Follow That Bird.
Oh, okay.
You did have Follow That Bird.
But they have a
did.
similar formula where they're
Right.
teaching you something.
Yeah,
So.
no. And I liked, again, what I thought was really brilliant, and that's a really great picture. I thought what was brilliant about this movie, too, was we start off with a 6-year-old Dora.
Yeah.
Who I believe is 6 years old in the television
Yeah,
series.
she's 7, yeah.
She's
6,
7.
6, 7, yeah.
And they do this great scene as if she's exploring in the jungle with Diego, and then it pulls back and they're in a cardboard car. But we've gone through this adventure and it was really cool, and one thing leads to another, and 10 years later she's 16.
Right.
They bring her into a modern day world, and she's still exploring. She still loves being in the jungle. And how to, they figured out a clever way to get her to go to the concrete jungle, and then she has to deal with being in high school.
Right. Right.
And I thought that was a really pretty clever way to bring her into today's world.
Yes.
With some of today's teenagers,
Yeah. And you brought up Pollyanna, which was I didn't make the sort of connection, but yes. Pollyanna for its time was a very, Haley Mills, she played, super positive, super upbeat, always brought her community together, and then, tragedy befalls her, but then they all gather around her. Yeah. That's kind of this feel of just, like I said, it's no, Dora's not, she is who she is. And that's the one thing that was one of another great messages. And her parents tell her, she goes, what am I supposed to do in the city? And they said, just be yourself. That's all you can do. And so she does. She is herself. And yeah, she's a little dorky and she gets made fun of, but she soldiers through it. And she, Diego, who's like super cool now and everything, and he's playing the game, and she's telling him, look, you can just be yourself too. I know who you are. You're my cousin. And so, yeah, that's a great message. She never veers from that, and she doesn't try to fit into whatever she thinks they're doing. She just does what she does,
There's a line in which he says, and I believe it was to Diego, I can only be myself.
Yeah. There's nothing else I can do.
That's all I know.
Yeah.
It can only be me. And to me, it was a really positive thing to say, because here's the thing. We weren't getting a John Hughes interpretation of high school here. So, which is great, which is fine. It's fine for this movie. We did have, to me, some of the funniest bits came from, there was already the A student.
Right.
And Dora comes along, and Dora's the competition, and she was like, I'm going to squash you, right? Yeah. So, but
because that's like my thing.
This is being smart is my thing.
Yeah.
And again, I appreciated this movie because it really put in the forefront of being dorky, being different, being smart isn't a bad thing.
No.
And Dora comes with her own smarts to school. And I really love the dynamic of coming into a school, and she wasn't even trying to be in competition with that girl.
No, she just knew all the answers.
She just knew all the answers. It's like, and to me, that I found it's refreshing. I think, and something. It's good for. I think it's good for families.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, it's a confidence building sort of exercise. And I think, but then, when they go back to the jungle where, Dora knows her stuff, she really knows her stuff, then she, teaches, she's able to show to her friends, how to navigate that kind of a world. Right.
And her
in
friends.
hilarious ways.
Very much
with
so.
songs.
And her friends adapt.
Yeah.
Like that too is the other thing where there's pushback. See, Dora never pushed back, and Dora in the movie, especially in high school, took her licks. And again, I think there were two really telling conversations: the one she had with Diego, and the one she had with her abuela.
Yeah.
And I really found it was abuelito. It's an O for female, I believe.
It's Adriana Barraza.
Right. And she was fantastic.
Yeah.
And she's like, I know they're making fun of me, but what can I do? I can only be myself.
Yeah.
And that's what she did. And again, with her, having the conversation in the closet, her grandmother's like, just got to do what you got to do, girl. Yeah. Don't worry, your friends will come to you.
Yeah.
And I thought it was those two were the greatest messages I felt in the movie, outside of its multicultural and its diversity in which it pulled from.
Yeah.
Because even our kids were African American. We did have one Caucasian kid, but he was nerdy and geeky, played the video games.
Not African American, Hispanic.
She was her best friend.
Yeah.
Not the other smarty pants.
Yeah, I think she was a mix. I think. Yeah.
But all the kids were really, really good.
Yeah.
And they stood out. And for the most part, outside of Isabella, they're fresh faces too, which makes me go, okay, not a star. You're bringing me what could be future stars.
Right.
And I really got engaged.
And I think for the little ones, you've still got Boots the monkey, and the CG for that is and Swiper. So you've got the fox and the monkey, and right. some people I was talking to were a little bothered by the CGI of that, but it didn't bother me at all. And there's kind of we won't give it away, but there's a little funny moment with Monkey the Boots, Boots the monkey, that just it'll make you. I'm sure it'll make adult people laugh, but. Yeah, so she's got her backpack, and at one point, we don't want. I guess we just don't want to give too much away for it. But there's just this whole sequence where it's just it's very funny.
We're going to put you on pause just for a second. So, you're new to anatomy, and for anybody who's new who watches, because we dissect and go deep into the movie, we are spoilerific.
Okay.
So I should have said that at the top of the show.
Spoiler alert.
Shields up, phasers on ready, and photon torpedoes. So yeah.
So we can talk about.
We can talk spoilers. And again, if you've yet to see the movie, just put us on pause, and please, you will come back because you're really gonna want to talk about this movie, especially if you had kids, nieces or nephews. If you don't have a family of your own, I don't. Like I said, I was lucky that I got to see it with friends.
Yeah.
So put it on pause because yes. I thought that.
Well, there's a whole sequence where they come upon this whole huge field of flowers, like these gigantic flowers. And, Dora's like, don't touch them. We just have to navigate through them. And of course, one of them touches them. And this thing, like spores are released. And then suddenly they have a trip. And they become the actual Dora the Explorer animated series for a second. And it just makes me laugh. She goes, there's my backpack. And the backpack's guy, hi, Dora. And there's the map. Hi, map. I'm a map. It's just so
It was brilliant.
And it was brilliant. I loved it. I loved it.
And this kind of and this is where I think families and kids are going to like it because it is this scatter shot. I mean, it fits within the movie, but it comes out of almost nowhere. You don't expect it. And when it happens, you can't help but laugh because technically they are tripping. But, it's done the way that it's done. It just played this wonderful homage. And it never makes fun of Dora the Explorer.
No, never.
But you laugh at it because
it's kind of funny.
It's kind of funny. So, and then you were talking about... Go ahead.
I just have to say this one. There's this comedian, I don't remember the guy's name, but he did this whole thing on Dora the Explorer because he had young kids. And he did this whole routine. He's like, I just wanted to know what was the development like on the songs? Like, so the guy comes in, he goes, I've got a great song. They're like, okay, give it to us. I'm a map, 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 I'm a map. And they're like, brilliant. It's just funny. It didn't make me laugh.
Yeah.
So I was saying I'm a map through the whole thing, and Scott Menzel goes, shut up.
Of course.
I'm a map.
I'm a map.
Anyway, yeah.
So
it was, yeah.
And there another aspect, too, that I want to talk about. So her parents.
Yeah.
Eva Longoria. So it's really interesting because both Eva Longoria and Eugenio Derbez have a Panaleon history, and that's the company that my wife was president of marketing for, and they both, those actors both helped put Panaleon on the map, and Eugenio at the time is in, I believe it may still be the #1 Spanish-speaking film, instructions not included.
Right. Yeah.
So, yeah, I always like that tie-in, and of course it makes me fond memories of my wife because she was part of that. She was part of the growth of Panaleon. But Michael Pena, Eva Longoria, they make great parents. Mm-hmm. And I also appreciate when parents are positive with their kids. I enjoy the fact that they treat Dora with a respect, but still as a kid, a 16-year-old.
Yeah, yeah.
But it was still a positive outlook, and they had fun with her. Another funny scene was, honey, before you go to high school, we have to talk to you. And Michael Pena did this whole thing. You're going to be invited to something called a rave. And his whole thing was really funny. I really liked the parents.
Yeah.
A lot because they encouraged her daughter to explore
and also to explore, but also
learn,
to let go. They had to let go, and that's that was hard for them as well. So
the
great little moments with Pena.
It really was, and I appreciated it very much so, and I think any parent or uncle would also like that too. So her friends. In this Latinx thing, I believe it's going to help draw audiences in.
Oh yeah,
this weekend for sure.
I think this is going to be a huge hit. What do you think?
I think it's going to do really well. It's going to be interesting. I mean, it brought in. Look, they had Thursday night previews. They began at 4 p.m., which makes sense. Kids, for the most part, are still out of school. Some are filtering back, but I think for a weekend, it did 1.25 million for Thursday. And again, it's a Thursday.
Yeah.
Parents are still at work. They're not
Yeah.
taking their kids. This weekend, look, it's the only real kids movie that's out there. And I hope that, the Latinx market, I think, should really go. But I think anybody who may have grown up to an extent watching Dora.
Even with their kids,
they grow up, maybe they have kids of their own. They're going to love the nostalgia. The kids would get into this, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I really hope that it succeeds because, personally, I wouldn't mind to see Isabella Moner up on screen again as Dora.
Yeah, well, I think there's going to be a sequel.
I hope.
I do think it's going to make a lot of money and they'll do a sequel.
I really, really, really do hope so. So, let's see. So, Finding a Lost City. So, Dora the Explorer. It began production, but believe it or not, in August 6th, 2018. Almost a year to the date.
Yeah.
Like, the movie, from the day they started production, it's almost that time right now to its release date, which is pretty cool. And it was filmed entirely
in
Australia.
Yeah.
And again, kind of makes me think of Crocodile Dundee to an extent, because you took Crocodile Dundee out of Australia into the concrete jungle.
Right.
And then he goes back in his own native land where they have the big, he's got to track down the bad guys. So Australia's Gold Coast, specifically Queensland on the continent, East Coast, south of Brisbane.
I've been there.
You have?
Well, not that particular spot, but I've been to Queensland.
Oh, yeah, I've never been. I've never been.
Gorgeous.
So dressing teen Dora. So when it came time to dressing the older Dora, costume designer Rahel Effie turned inspiration in the television series. In the first scene, Dora appears in her signature pink T-shirt and the backpack. And then they designed several different looks, and they stuck close to the classic Dora outfit, which.
But at the very end of the movie, there's this great dance sequence kind of thing. And she's got the cutest outfit in that. It's kind of little. You can see her have. She's gonna evolve. She's gonna get older, right? So she's gonna have to dress a little differently. But I loved her little outfit.
Same here. It was a great dance thing. So I wanna talk about her. I have to talk about her. So.
She's only 18, by the way. Not
I thought
19.
she was 19.
No, she just turned 18.
No. Regardless, 19. I mean, so she's only 18, and again, I credit Michael Bay.
Yeah.
For finding her. He has a knack for casting, and she was in the Transformers: The Last Night,
right?
I believe it was. And to me, watching that movie, she was a standout. She was great.
But she did a Nickelodeon series before that.
I did not know. Again,
100 Things to Do Before High School. So it was a middle school.
Right.
Little thing that she did for a show she did for Nickelodeon. But certainly Transformers put her on the map. Yeah. I'm a map. I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, it was. So she's in Transformers. Then she does Sicario 2.
Right. Best part of the movie.
Different performance from Transformers. And she was amazing.
Yeah.
And I remember watching Sicario. I remember watching the sequel going, who is she? And it was after I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
She was, again, completely different role. And she was kick-ass. Yeah. She was fantastic.
She and Benicio del Toro.
Their chemistry was amazing.
I mean, they were unbelievable together.
And Benicio has a guest cameo in this movie. He's a voice. He's a voice.
We won't tell you his voice.
Swiper. We can spoil things here. But
it's in IMDb too.
Yeah, it's in IMDb. So, and then she was in one of my favorite movies towards the end of last year, Instant Family.
Yes.
Where she works with Mark Wahlberg. And again, she was fantastic in that. All the kids were. I don't want to take away, but she's the standout. And she even, in that movie, she was allowed to show her chops as a singer. Because she sings.
She sings.
She
made a Broadway debut in Evita at 10, age 10.
Age 10. So The girl has chops.
She does.
And I feel
I'm very excited for her career.
I'm excited for her career. I don't want her to get tainted. Like, you know what I mean? I mean,
she's going to grow up and start doing,
And I will follow her career. I would love to interview her.
But Sicario, I mean, that was not a happy movie.
No, it wasn't. Neither was her role. The first time I think we see that character, she gets in a huge fight.
Yeah.
In a schoolyard.
Yeah.
It was a great fight. But she's just fantastic. I think that her presence here, again, Instant Family, she's really good. And in this movie, she takes everything from she'd done before, and now she's as bright as the sun because she's so vibrant, and she's able to play the positive, and it comes off perfect for the character of Dora.
Yeah.
To me.
Yeah. And apparently she said, I watched a little interview with her the other day, and she says, I've been called Dora my whole life. She said,
really?
Because she used to have the bangs, and she did a voice. There was a Dora and Friends show, I guess, maybe a spinoff or maybe a one-off or something, and she played a voice in that. Not Dora, somebody else.
Yeah. So I will be watching her career. I'd love to interview her because her talent, I think we're just at the beginning here. Yeah. And as she grows older, I just don't want her to burn out. I don't want her to get jaded, and I hope her family keeps her well grounded. She should still remain an 18-year-old. She should enjoy those trappings. So, but Isabella Moner, big fan. I think you've got amazing places to go.
Yeah.
So, listen, we are... my God, what else can we talk about this movie?
Yeah,
I mean, I think it's timely.
Take your family. If you have a young family, or even if you have nostalgic feelings for the show, if you watched it as a kid, go see it because you'll have fun.
Yeah.
You really will have fun.
And I think it's important today of its timely message and what comes out of this. There's a lot of stuff happening, and parents may want to shield some of their kids from what's going on. You can take them to Dora, and they can see a positive outlook and learn from that and gain from that experience. That's why I think it's the perfect time, 20 years later, 19 years later, for a Dora live-action movie to come out, just because of its girl power, its diversity, its striving for diversity, and working together and being positive. And you can be smart and just be yourself. I love that message. I think it's timely for kids today. So... in any case, where can people find you? And please go find her, follow, and support her on Twitter. But go ahead.
At The Movie Kid is my Twitter, so follow me on Twitter. I'd love to chat with people on Twitter, and I'm also on screenpics.com. But
there you go. And please, you can support me on the Twitters at Demetri Panos. It's my name, at Demetri Panos. And Ryan, thank you very much for producing and pulling up great pictures. Ryan is our producer. He's handling all the engineering things and the sound effects. So thank you very much, Ryan. Thank you, audience, for tuning in. There will be more Anatomy of a Movie. We still have the rest of the summer and fall. So thank you for tuning in. Go explore. Be positive. So long.
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Popcorn Talk Network or its owners or principals.